There's a precise moment your power is put on trial. It's not in a courtroom. It's in that silent, charged space right after an accusation has been thrown. Someone attacks your reputation. They question your authority. They challenge a decision you poured your soul into. And right then, in that instant, a primal, deeply conditioned instinct flares up inside you. You know the feeling. It's that burning in your chest, that frantic scramble in your mind to find the perfect explanation, to justify your actions, to defend yourself. This urge feels righteous. It feels necessary. But I'm here to tell you it's the most sophisticated trap ever laid for anyone who dares to build something of consequence. Because that reactive, desperate defense, it's not your shield. It's a signal of your complete and total surrender. The moment you start to explain yourself, you are unknowingly admitting that the accuser's judgment holds power over you and that your authority is fragile enough to need their validation. You've just entered a game you have already lost, because the very act of playing is the loss itself. If you felt this, you found the right guide. Because what I am about to show you is not some simple communication trick. This is a fundamental rewiring of your relationship with conflict, a strategy of psychological dominance so potent that it will revolutionize how you navigate every single challenge to your authority. We're going to move way beyond just staying quiet. We are going to deconstruct silence as a weapon. We'll analyze its different forms, and you will learn to wield it with the precision of a master duelist. I've researched these strategies across history, from the calculated composure of ancient princes who ruled empires through aura alone, to the dismissive stillness of modern titans of industry who let accusations wither and die in the wind. By the end of this video, you will understand that strategic silence isn't weakness. It's not passive. It is the most aggressive, decisive, and psychologically devastating power move you can ever make. Your frantic need to defend will be replaced by a chilling composure, a presence that makes others think twice before they even consider testing you. Let's begin.
It's been said that the great legendary Winston Churchill would walk slowly to the lectern prior to giving a speech. He would shuffle his papers, pull down on his lapels, waiting for the audience to grow quiet. Then he would fumble for his spectacles while the audience grew quieter still.
So first, let's get one thing straight, because this is where most people get it wrong. Not all silence is created equal. Most people see silence as an absence, a void, an empty space. This is a profound misunderstanding. Strategic silence isn't empty. It is charged with intent. It's a conscious, tactical choice. To use it, you have to know the different weapons in your arsenal. We're going to break down the 4 primary forms of strategic silence. First, there is the dismissive silence. Think of this like a scalpel. It's a brief, almost imperceptible pause that you pair with unwavering eye contact. It communicates one simple message without saying a single word. Your input is irrelevant. You use this to excise trivial attacks, to shut down passive-aggressive jabs before they can even gather momentum. It's swift, it's clean, and it ends the discussion before it starts. Next, we have the inquisitive silence. This one is a longer, more patient stillness. You hold your gaze on the accuser, not with aggression, but with a calm, penetrating curiosity. This silence is a mirror. What you're non-verbally asking is, are you certain you want to continue down this path? Have you really thought this through? This is incredibly powerful because it forces the accuser to hear the echo of their own words. More often than not, they will begin to question their own standing and back down themselves. Now let's get into the heavier arsenal. Third is the absorbent silence. This is what you deploy when someone is in the middle of a full-blown emotional tirade. You don't interrupt. You don't correct them. You don't argue. You become a psychological black hole. You absorb all of their frantic energy without reflecting any of it back. See, they expect resistance. They are desperate for a fight, for something to push against. When you give them nothing, they become unmoored. Their energy finds no purchase. They exhaust themselves, their accusations growing more desperate and shrill until they are left panting in a vacuum of their own making. Their emotional outburst, which was intended to frame you as the villain, instead exposes them as unstable and completely out of control. Finally, there is the glacial silence. This is the coldest and most consequential. This is the nuclear option. You deploy this when a major line has been crossed, a deep betrayal, a grave insult, where words are no longer sufficient. It is a quiet, permanent withdrawal of your presence and validation. It is a silent communication that the offender, for all intents and purposes, no longer exists on your plane of reality. This isn't a tactic for a single argument. It's a strategic repositioning of the entire relationship. It is a judgment rendered without a single word. Okay, knowing these 4 types of silence is one thing, but using them when your heart is pounding out of your chest and your mind is screaming at you to fight back, that's the real challenge. So before we even get to the tactics, we have to master our own biology. When you are accused, your body betrays you before your mind even can. Your amygdala, your brain's primal threat detector, floods your system with adrenaline and cortisol. Your heart rate spikes, your breathing goes shallow, your muscles tense up. This is the fight or flight response, and your desperate instinct to defend yourself is its vocal soundtrack. To choose silence is to literally wage war against your own physiology. And here's how you win. The practice begins with your breath. In that moment of attack, your first move is always internal. You take a slow, deliberate breath, drawing it deep into your diaphragm. This one single action counteracts the adrenal surge. It slows your heart rate. It sends a powerful signal to your brain that you are not in mortal danger. It signals that you are in control. Next, you must consciously relax your posture, unclench your jaw, drop your shoulders from their defensive position up by your ears, let your hands rest calmly in your lap or at your sides. This physical stillness isn't passive, it's a declaration of sovereignty over your own body. Think about the psychology of this. While your accuser is riding a chaotic wave of stress hormones, you are an island of serene composure. This biological mastery is the absolute foundation of psychological dominance. Because the audience, whether it's one person or 100, reads your physiology before they even process your words. Your calm body tells them a story far more powerful than any defense ever could. This does not faze me. This does not touch me. This does not matter. Now that you've mastered your internal state, let's take these weapons onto the battlefield, because these strategies have to be adapted to the terrain. First, the corporate arena. Picture this. You're in a boardroom presenting a new strategy you've worked on for months. A colleague, maybe a rival, interjects with that fake concerned tone. That's a very ambitious plan, but I'm concerned about the resource allocation. It feels a bit ungrounded. The entire room turns to you. The bait has been laid. The average person bites. They immediately rush to defend their numbers. They pull up spreadsheets, they get flustered, defensive, and in doing so, they validate the attack. They prove the plan is questionable. But the Machiavellian operator does the opposite. Here you deploy the inquisitive silence. You pause for 2 full seconds. You let that challenge just hang in the air. You turn your head slowly to your colleague and you make calm, direct eye contact. No smile, no frown, just a neutral, observant presence. That silence amplifies their statement, forcing everyone to scrutinize it. And then, after the pause, you do not defend, you redirect the frame. You might say with genuine calmness, "Thank you for raising that. What specific alternative allocation would you propose to better ground it?" Boom. With that single move, you've refused to enter their frame. You've re-established control, you've subtly framed their comment as a derailment, and you've placed the burden of proof right back onto them. You showed your focus is on the mission, while theirs was on poking holes. The room feels that shift in status instantly. Next, the personal arena. Here, the stakes are even higher because the currency is emotion. A partner says, "You never listen to me. You don't really care." The instinct is to panic, to shower them with reassurances, to plead your case. This is a strategic error. The more you defend, the more you implicitly agree that their accusation has a basis in reality. Instead, you deploy the absorbent silence. You let the weight of that accusation settle in the room. You observe them. You listen fully. You let them feel the echo of their own dramatic statement. After they've finished, you don't offer a defense. You offer a calm, frame-shifting observation. "It sounds like you're feeling incredibly disconnected from me right now." This is not an admission of guilt. It is an acknowledgement of their emotional state, which is undeniable. From there, the conversation is no longer about litigating your past actions, but about addressing their present feelings. You've shifted the frame from accusation to solution, all while maintaining your composure and authority. Finally, the digital arena, the modern Colosseum. A negative comment, a subtweet, a hateful DM. These are all attempts to colonize your emotional real estate. The amateur reacts. They get into comment wars. They post long-winded defenses, and every reaction is a shot of validation for the troll. The master employs the strategy of the digital ghost. You do not reply. You do not delete. You do not block. You let their accusations sit there, exposed and pathetic, a monument to their own obsession. Then, an hour later, you post something completely unrelated. A win from your day, a project you're excited about. This act of narrative displacement is psychologically devastating. It communicates, your attack was so insignificant it didn't even register. My world is productive and interesting, while yours is small enough to be consumed by me. You let them wither in the silence of their own irrelevance. Once you master the art of strategic silence, you're ready to move beyond non-engagement into the realm of active psychological dominance. This is where you learn to use your opponent's force against them. First up is the precision cut reframe. When someone throws a label at you, you don't deny it. You reframe its meaning into a source of power. Someone calls you arrogant. The reactive response is, "No, I'm not." The masterful response, delivered with calm amusement, is, "It's a common mistake to confuse confidence with arrogance." Someone calls you manipulative. You reply, "I prefer to think of it as being persuasive." Not everyone can be. You are not defending, you are defining. You are taking the weapon they forged and recasting it as a part of your crown. The next level is psychological judo. Here, you turn their accusation into an exposure of their own insecurity. They say, "You think you're better than everyone else." You pause. You hold their gaze with that inquisitive silence, and then you ask calmly, "Why are you so concerned with how I see myself?" The spotlight instantly swivels from your character to their motive. They were prepared to judge your answer. They were not prepared to have their own psychology put on trial. Now they have to explain themselves, and they will almost certainly falter. You have flipped the entire power dynamic without ever addressing the original accusation. Finally, the true masterstroke, the Machiavellian endgame. Make the audience your shield. When you are attacked publicly and you refuse to defend yourself, something fascinating happens in the minds of the bystanders. Your calm, unshakable presence creates a profound cognitive dissonance. The accuser is emotional, agitated, aggressive. You are serene. The human brain scrambles to resolve this. It begins to question the attacker. Why are they so worked up if he's not? They must be exaggerating. They must have a personal vendetta. Your silence invites the crowd to scrutinize the accuser. And the accuser, desperate for a reaction, will inevitably overplay their hand. They'll get louder, more frantic. With each escalation, they lose credibility. Soon, someone in the crowd will step in. They'll say, "All right, that's enough." At that moment, you have won completely. The audience has become your unsolicited defense counsel. You remained above the fray, and the social order itself disciplined your attacker for you. That is true power. This isn't about one-time victories. This is about the slow, deliberate construction of a fortress. Every time you choose silence over defense, you lay another stone in the wall of your reputation. Over time, you build an aura of impenetrability. People learn that attacking you is a fruitless, self-destructive endeavor. Your reputation precedes you not as a good or nice person, but as a strong one. A good reputation is fragile. A strong reputation, built on a foundation of unshakable composure, is armor. The attacks lessen, not because you vanquished all your enemies, but because targeting you becomes a signal of poor strategic judgment. You no longer live in defense. You live in definition. You define your reality. You define your status, and you define the terms of every engagement simply by deciding which are worthy of your attention. The world does not quiet for the man who shouts the loudest defense. It falls silent for the one whose composure proves he never needed one. Thanks for taking this journey with me today. What we've covered is deep, so re-watch this video. Let the concepts sink in. This isn't easy, but it is achievable. If you're ready to continue mastering the art of psychological influence and power, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. And if this video shifted how you see silence, do me a favor and give it a thumbs up. It tells the algorithm that this is the kind of deep dive content people want to see. Now, I want to hear from you. Comment below with which of the 4 types of silence, dismissive, inquisitive, absorbent, or glacial, you are going to start practicing first. Remember, your silence is your strength. Stay in control. See you in the next one.